following program is intended for mature audiences.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
Oh, you fucking picked it! He fucking picked the fucking... Oh, yes! Wow! No! Holy shit! We won a Super Bowl!
God, I can't believe they did. They had the game won. We had the game won. Wow!
We did it! Yeah!
You stupid bastard.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Left Shark is an inspiration. I'm about ready to form a cult to worship the greatness of Great Shark, because I believe Great Shark to be the Messiah.
Okay. If we're gonna talk about the halftime show,
The cult of the left shark. Yes, Mike.
if we're gonna talk about the halftime show, I want to start off by saying I got screwed because apparently this halftime show was fantastic and insane, and I missed it entirely. So I'm watching the Super Bowl. First half ends, right? Almost as soon as the first half ends, the picture goes blank.
Oh.
and I'm like, well, this is weird. So I try clicking around to the other channels. Everything is out. Pick up my phone. My phone's out. Internet's out.
Ooh.
Thankfully, my cell phone has cell phone reception, so I called Rogers Communications. I'm like, so what's the deal? They said everyone in your immediate area, in your neighborhood, has lost complete internet, cable TV, and phone. And I'm like, well, this is fantastic timing.
Well, you guys do realize that the Super Bowl is happening.
Yes, exactly.
But the Grey Cup's not until November. What are you talking about?
Got plenty of time to work this out. But so I keep getting all these texts from people going like, oh my God, this Super Bowl, like this halftime show is amazing. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, my friends and I are just trying to figure out like what the hell is going on. We have to like basically watch on the phone, on our phones. Nobody can get a good signal. And I keep getting text messages from everyone else saying, like, this halftime show is amazing. It's insane. I'm like, I can't watch it.
Well, so have you actually watched it since, Mike?
I have not, no. I've finally got cable back midway through the fourth quarter.
Well, here's basically the halftime show in GIF form. You can slide down through it. You can relive it via GIF.
It starts off with a Megazord, does it?
Yeah, a giant robotic golden lion.
I don't know if it was fantastic. It was definitely bizarre. If you wanted to be entertained by a musical performance, this was not your halftime show. But if you just wanted spectacle and just a bunch of stuff like that, it was great. It was fantastic from that aspect.
The Sharks are the winners here.
Oh, God, that shark on the left has no idea what he's doing.
Right. Right Shark knows exactly what he's doing. Right Shark is in tune. He's on beat. He's got the choreography down. Left Shark is on ecstasy. Left Shark is just like, what is going on with my life right now?
Left Shark was like a contest winner.
Left Shark, he's now, you can now use Left Shark in just about any situation as a meme.
He's entered the lexicon, is what you're saying.
Left Shark is something I will keep with me. He is currently my avatar on the boards with the subtitle of Kill Me. It's Left Shark.
This guy's amazing. He's just like,
if this is not the same as the Shark's low, like if SJ Sharky retire, it's all about Left Shark.
Oh yeah, they got to get Left Shark. Speaking of the San Jose Sharks, I saw someone mock up a concept for the Sharks logo that was just the shark from this halftime show holding a broken stick over his head.
Yeah, I was going to try and do that myself, but somebody beat me to the punch.
And best line of the Super Bowl, and I don't know where it originated, but it was a shark finally makes it to the championship round.
Yep.
That and the other one I saw that you posted, Zach, which I think sums up the game perfectly, was the shark holding his his arms up.
His
what
arms?
What kind of play was that? Or his flippers? Yeah. What kind of play was that?
Why the hell would you run the ball?
I can't stop watching this.
To really get the full effect, you just have to isolate Left Shark and watch him on loop. Left Shark, just with no context around him, is just like...
It really is a sight. It's art.
He's like slapping himself in the face with his fins. And like, he looks like he's trying to do a terrible version of a shark Macarena dance.
Left Shark made the Super Bowl, if you ask me. Just at least the halftime show, if nothing else. He was incredible.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, just what a... In terms of, like, the game, I guess I should talk about the game a bit than the halftime show I missed, but which is apparently amazing.
Oh, but really quick, before I forget to bring this up, you were talking about losing your cable. Dish subscribers, I guess, lost the last 7 minutes of the game itself. So they did not see the ending or anything.
The last 7 minutes were the only part of the second half I saw.
You got to see the good part. They didn't.
Yeah, which is apparently, I missed the entire third quarter, but apparently nothing really happened all that. Nothing really, of consequence.
The third quarter was when the Seahawks were playing at their best.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really the only quarter where the Patriots slacked off.
It was a good game.
Yeah, it was a good game.
I just think it's just night and day. I mean, last year's Super Bowl, I think, was one of the worst that we had in a long time.
It was. I can't remember one that was that one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, probably since Cowboys-Bills, when the Cowboys won like 52 to whatever it was.
Well, what about Chargers-49ers? Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, that one was bad. Yeah, but you know what? That one, it was bad. But
well, I mean, what do you expect when you're riding the Stan Humphrey train to the Super Bowl? I mean, come on.
But it's been a long time since we had one that was as bad as last year. And that's why I got kind of tricked. I thought Seattle would do the same thing to New England this year, but wow, it was just a whole different thing. The football's just such an asshole. You can't count on anything from year to year. You just can't. What did we think of the whole package overall?
I think this confirms Bill Belichick as the greatest football coach ever, considering that he saw this all-time great defense, and make no mistake about it, the Seahawks do have an all-time great defense, and Bill Belichick came up with a game plan that basically neutralized them.
Well, evil mastermind.
Well, we were talking about this too, and on the football show, we didn't even bring up the fact that Seattle's defense really kind of failed them in that game.
They did.
We were talking. We were talking about the play call at the end and the curse catch, and I'm going to try to get his name. Don't remind me, Zach. Malcolm Floyd. No.
Malcolm Floyd was the Chargers wide receiver.
Okay, Malcolm Butler.
Yes.
Okay, Malcolm. See, poor guy. But we're talking about all that stuff. But what really seems to be getting lost in this is that the defense, the vaunted Seattle defense, really kind of let them down in the second half.
I think because the Patriots hit them the only place where you could hit them with short pass after short pass after short pass. And what team's been better at executing the short passes with no deep threat over the last few years than the Pats?
Right.
I mean, let's look at this. Tom Brady, at the end of that, their first drive, throws a stupid pass that ends up getting picked off. But I mean, if you've got to think that if Tom Brady doesn't, mentally regress into Brian Hoyer for a moment and throw that pick, this game probably isn't as close as it ends up being.
That's funny that you used Brian Hoyer. That's exactly who I used when we were talking about it.
I briefly went through my mind who's a shitty quarterback?
Yeah. But at the same time, because of that interception and the nickel guy that broke his arm there, that's where the Patriots went after for the rest of the game, was attacking his replacement, who wasn't as quick and couldn't stay with Julian Edelman all game.
And Julian Edelman, major props. Apparently he's Jewish, so
really?
I think this automatically puts him in the Jewish Athlete Hall of Fame.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's like him and Sandy Koufax.
Yeah, and, not to mention he was out on his feet after he took that hit. He was concussed the rest of that game. There's just no way he wasn't.
Oh, yeah. After he got hit the first time, I don't know why they let him stay on the field for the next play.
Well, it's like they said on the Dan Patrick show. He passed the test. They said, "Do you want to go back into the game?" He said, "Yes." Okay, go back in.
Yeah, but at that point, could they have asked him, is the sky made of candy? And he probably would have been like, yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting. There was the commercials I thought were just at an all-time low this year.
First, hold on, Mike. You don't get to see the American commercials, correct?
I've heard a rumor that we're going to be getting them by 2017.
What, you don't see any of the American commercials at all?
No, we do not get the American commercials. We get the Canadian commercials, which honestly don't seem all that much different than the regular commercials we get during football.
So, did you not see Nationwide trying to kill children?
That one was...
Is that what Peyton Manning was doing on the Super Bowl?
No.
Was he chasing them down with Papa John's?
No, this is how the commercial goes, Mike. It starts out with a kid riding his little big wheel, trying to catch up to all the big kids on the bicycles.
Okay.
And he's like, "Oh no, wait!" And then it goes into voiceover mode where it's, "I'll never learn how to ride a bike. I'll never get cooties because some girl kissed him on the cheek. I'll never get married." And if the married one you would have liked because his best man for his wedding, Optimus Prime. And then he's like, "I'll never get to do any of these things because I didn't get to grow up because I died
in an accident."
Holy shit!
I know.
Then it shows like a kid, the cabinet under the sink open with like the detergent spilled everywhere,
and a bathtub that's overflowing with water,
and a TV that fell, like it's just smashed, and it's like. Protect your children. Insurance.
I'm watching that commercial and I'm like going along with it, and all of a sudden he goes, "That's because I died," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I looked at my girlfriend and I said, "Did he just say that he died?" Because I thought, okay, sometimes I'm old and things just don't register right, but no.
If I had seen that, I probably would have gone onto the balcony and just like stared off into the distance for a while as a single tear rolled down my face.
And then Nationwide after the game, they're like, "No, we were just trying to start the conversation to make sure that parents, pay more attention to safety in their homes."
No, they were trying to sell you death insurance for your kid. I mean, give me a break. That's what they were trying to do. It's as simple as that.
I guess it could have been worse. It could have just been them being like, "It would be a shame if something terrible happened to your kids without the proper insurance, wouldn't it?"
Well, that's basically what they said.
Wouldn't it?
So what got the top ad? It was not a good field this year at all.
The top ad,
probably the puppy, right?
The
Budweiser
puppy for Budweiser, yeah.
Of course. It was okay.
No, you know what though? The majority of the commercials were just like sad.
They were sad, or they just weren't.
It sounds like it was.
They were
fucking
super
depressing.
serious.
It was.
There's that one. There's the kids without legs. And be a good dad and
it was
buy your daughter a Camry.
It was just a huge downer.
The ones that I thought were fun, there was the Fiat one where
the Viagra pill.
Yeah, this old Italian man, he goes to grab the one remaining Viagra pill in his thing, but it slips out. He tries to throw it in his mouth, be all like sexy, and he throws it out the window, and eventually it careens through this Italian village, and eventually falls into the gas tank of a tiny little Fiat. Because now Fiat's making a 4-door Fiat, so it makes the Fiat grow bigger.
Right.
There was Snickers. Because you know how have you seen the Snickers ads where it's like, "You're not yourself"?
Yeah. That was good with Danny Trejo.
Right. So they set up the Brady Bunch where Marsha gets her nose broken. So Marsha is being played by Danny Trejo, better known as Machete. And they're like, "Here, have a Snickers." And then he turns back into Marsha, and then they shoot upstairs. I forget what the other Brady sister is called.
Jan.
Right. And Jan is being played by Steve Buscemi. And so they yell up, "It's not about you, Jan. It's never about me."
It was pretty witty. It was pretty good.
That was pretty funny.
That one didn't rate that highly on the ad meter, and I thought it was one of the better ones of the day.
It was 12.
Oh, okay. I thought it was lower than that. Okay, 12.
No, it was 12.
Yeah, but overall, though, it was a pretty weak field of commercials.
Liam Neeson playing Clash of Clans was pretty funny.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Liam Neeson desperately needs the work these days. He's doing a third.
Well, he only has a unique set of skills. You can't get a lot of jobs with that.
How many times could the guy's family be kidnapped? I guess.
Yeah, my favorite one.
So far, 3.
My favorite one, which was rated too low, but maybe it's because it was more of a niche thing. Esurance, their thing was like, when someone is sort of a thing, because it's like you don't want sort of good insurance.
I thought that one was pretty good too.
Good insurance.
Yeah.
So there's this woman. She goes to the pharmacy, and out from behind the counter pops Walter White in his yellow hazmat suit.
Really?
Mask. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sort of a pharmacist."
Yeah, those were pretty good. That's what I mean. If you look at the ad meter, maybe I'm just weird, but a lot of the ones I liked didn't rank very high, and Some of the ones that were way up at the top, I thought, wow, just not. But overall, just not a good field of commercials at all. Did you guys get to see the infamous celebration, the Doug Baldwin touchdown celebration?
The poop celebration?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, between that and between the scrum at the end, this was not a good image for the Seahawks in terms of PR, was it?
No.
It was not a good game for them.
Not at all.
Because, I mean, between the poop celebration and you picked us off and we lost, we're going to fight you, they kind of just seem like a bunch of entitled thugs.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know what Baldwin's trip is anyway. He's got this whole thing like, if we don't get
He's just an angry guy.
Yeah, he really is. I'll tell you what, though, I am really, really glad football season's over. I was about on my last leg. The 2 weeks off in between was nice, and it got me recharged just enough to make it through the Super Bowl. But, yeah, I'm ready to wait until...
Well, what do you mean? There was no week off. That whole week was about the Pro Bowl.
Okay, well, that too. Mike, did you watch any of the 14 hours of the pregame?
I actually didn't. I mean,
Really?
I usually do. Like, traditionally, I go all out when it comes to the Super Bowl. I always wake up early. I make sure I'm able to catch those Super Bowl retrospectives where they go through the NFL Films productions of all the previous Super Bowls.
They didn't do that this year, and I was so bummed out about that.
I know. That's been like a tradition of mine since I think it was 30. Yeah, the Packers-Patriots one.
Yeah, they didn't do that. I looked all over the place for that. I thought, okay, maybe ESPN's got it, ESPN Classic. Nope, no one, not even NFL Network. And that's the best thing.
I got up early just to catch that as early as I could. Couldn't find it, and then that kind of just took me out for the whole day. And so I basically just kind of did work.
I watched all 6 hours of NBC's pregame coverage.
Really?
Yes. I learned many things.
So just a quick question. Why did you choose NBC over, say, ESPN?
Because ESPN only went from they ended at like 11 o'clock.
To get to the bowling.
Yeah, they got to the CP3 amateur celebrity pro bowling
This wasn't
clash.
just bowling. This wasn't just pro bowlers. This was a pro-am where you had celebrities like the only one I'd ever heard of, Chris Hardwick and Nick Cannon were the only two I'd ever heard of.
Nick Cannon, Chris Paul, obviously.
Oh, okay. I didn't see him.
Who else was there? A couple no-name rappers. French Montana.
See, I thought I saw Montana and so. I'm like, cool, Joe Montana's going to bowl. I was waiting to see that, and he never showed up.
No.
So what did you learn? Because you mentioned that you learned so much.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that I took out of the NBC's pregame coverage is that President Obama is a guac fanatic. He loves guacamole.
The thing I took away from it is that Johnny Weir guy, he dresses really weird.
Okay,
Yeah.
so President Obama likes his guacamole. I don't know how that worked itself into a discussion about the Super Bowl, but
dude, they
there
had
it is.
6
Well, no,
hours
it was
to
because every Super Bowl, the news arm of whatever network is broadcasting the Super Bowl gets to interview the president for
I remember that
exclusive interview.
I remember that last year it was Fox and it was Bill O'Reilly, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be fantastic."
Right. So instead of being
Mr. President, why do you hate America?
Right.
Mr. President,
Instead of being the traditional two guys sitting on chairs looking at each other, they met in the White House kitchen, and Obama had his sleeves rolled up.
Oh.
And they were like, "Oh yeah, I love guacamole." We brew beer in the White House. I'm the first president to brew booze on the White House grounds since
he
George
doesn't do
Washington.
He
anything
is
of the
okay.
sort.
Maybe not. Okay, maybe he's the first to brew beer, but I'm pretty sure Jackson brewed with.
I was gonna say Jackson. Because he's just the guy who would think, what guy is not making moonshine in the White House basement? It's got to be Andrew Jackson, right?
Yep.
He was wild. I'm watching this thing on Netflix. It's from the History Channel. Did a thing called The Ultimate Guide to the Presidents. Andrew Jackson was nuts.
Andrew Jackson, the campaign that he was elected in, the 1828 presidential campaign, shot the sitting vice president, who was the vice presidential candidate of his opponent, John Quincy Adams. He shot the sitting vice president of the United States, and during the campaign, and then was elected because people are like, he just shot the vice president. I better vote for him or he'll shoot me.
We need more guys like him now. I mean, geez, he could really get the job done.
Like, I think the vice president insinuated that Jackson's wife was a whore or something.
Oh, it was really ugly. It was like the first ever campaign
smear campaign.
We always talk about how bad things are now, but after watching that show, it's like this has been going on forever. And I mean, I think in some ways it was a lot worse back then.
He also, when he was on his deathbed, he said his last regret was that he didn't hang John C. Calhoun, who was his own vice president. His last regret was that he didn't hang his vice president.
If I could have killed just one more guy, life would have been complete. What else did you learn, Zach? I heard you trying to step into our historical conversation there.
Well, I mean, it's basically a sports show. We don't need to talk about it. They ran a trailer for the 2016 Olympics. A trailer for an event that won't even be on NBC's air for another, 20 months.
Wouldn't it have been better just to run all the NFL film Super Bowl clips and go with 2 hours of pregame? I mean, come on.
Well, especially because NFL Network, they stuck to the more technical aspect. They were more about the football.
Yeah.
I mean, they went off into things like Twitter, and they had Chris Pratt and Mark Wahlberg stop by, but they still stuck to more football than NBC did. You can only talk about a game that hasn't happened yet for so long.
The NFL Network started at 9 in the morning, didn't they?
Yeah, they started pretty early.
See,
I think it was 6 a.m. my time, so 9.
I want to see one network go a full 24 hours.
Oh, it'll happen. You know it will.
24 hours, exactly one day before kickoff, some network starts their pregame coverage, and it just runs.
I promise you, if you could get in a meeting with the executives of NFL Network, it wouldn't take you 10 minutes to convince them to do that. And that would be the hook to it. We're going to do this for 24 straight hours. And the sad part is I would probably even watch. I'd be like, I've got at 4 in the morning. I got to see what they're doing.
I'm kind of tentative to talk about the Super Bowl in general because I don't know what you guys have gone over on basically a football show, so I don't want to.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
We can cover it again.
I assume you guys have talked about the final play in depth.
I think we gave it a couple minutes, so if you want to talk about it some more, it's certainly not going to be treading on our turf or anything.
I got wow. The last 3 plays of that game were amazing.
Well, first off, when Kurtz made that crazy catch, did you think what everybody else thought, oh my God, New England's going to have this happen to them for a third straight time?
Yeah. That's what I thought. Colton, again, it happened again. I thought it hit the ground the first time. As it happened, I thought it hit the ground.
So did everybody else, yeah.
And then they're like, did he catch it? And then so they went back to the replay. Holy crap, he caught no, again?
Well, somebody brought up today, I was listening, it was either on the BS Report or on Dan Patrick, I don't remember, but that I'm going to do it again here, Malcolm Butler, there you got him right the first time, had the presence of mind to come over and down Kurtz because he could have just stood up and ran into the end zone with that. Mm-hmm. So that was another great play that Malcolm Butler made.
Malcolm Butler, who Tom Brady's trying to transfer his truck to.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I want to talk about the MVP selection later on, but just in terms, so that play happens. Then they give it to Marshawn, and he almost gets it in on that play. They get him down to the 1.
Yep.
And then, as that play happened, so as soon as Butler picks off Wilson, my phone starts ringing. It's my dad, who is calling to bitch to me. As if I made the call about the play call. He's like, what the hell was that? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, how did they not throw it? How did they not give it to Marshawn Lynch? I don't know. Mike, stop yelling at me.
Why did you make that call? Come on. Explain it. Now that we've got you here, tell us why you didn't run.
I was conscious of the play clock.
The thing that's still the most puzzling to me there is not even the threat of the run.
Mm-hmm.
At least
it was a shot. He lined up in a shotgun.
But
backfield.
Lynch was in the backfield. Lynch was right next to it. Yes, he sure was.
Oh, I thought it was an empty set.
No, but Lynch, right as the ball was snapped, Lynch went off on a route. So there was right away. The defense knew there was no chance of a read option, no chance of a draw, no chance of anything. Because as soon as the ball snapped, Lynch head straight out for that swing route that he does. And
if you are going to throw in that situation, at least have it be a play action.
Something.
At least fake the run if you're going to throw it there.
Well, it was I said it on the boards, I said it on the show, I'll say it again. passing on second down there wasn't the worst idea in the world, but the play that they ran, oh my goodness, what a dumb idea.
I think Emmitt Smith actually on Twitter said worst play call in the history of football.
I don't know if it's the worst play call in the history of football. I'm sure there's been many worse.
Yeah, I've seen more than my fair share of them, believe me.
I've seen the North Turner coach Chargers. I'm sure there's one in there somewhere. But
passing wasn't the worst idea. But
it's that pass.
It's that pass.
Throw a fade to the corner of the end zone to your new favorite, big, tall Winnipeg Blue Bomber.
MSNBC political talk show host, too. I mean, this guy does everything.
Yeah.
But it was just, I mean, you're in a goal line set. There's so many people in the middle of the field. You're on the half-yard line. There's nowhere to put a slant when you throw that pass. There's just nowhere to do it.
I was actually kind of pulling for the Pats in that game, so I was happy.
I was kind of like I didn't care until they took the lead, and then I thought, yeah, you know what? I want them to win.
I was pulling for him for a few reasons. First was, as I've documented the past 2 weeks, I think the Deflategate thing was horribly blown out of proportion. And they managed to make the Patriots look like victims, which was interesting.
That's hard to do.
Which was hard to do, but, credit to them, they managed. And then another thing was, as I was thinking about it, it's like only two quarterbacks had ever previously won 4 Super Bowls, being Terry Bradshaw and Joe Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Montana, I think, I wouldn't say he's universally considered the best quarterback of all time, but I think he's probably the majority choice.
Yeah.
He's definitely who I would consider the best quarterback of all time. But it's sort of one of these things where it's like, I have the opportunity to see another player reach that milestone in my own lifetime. So it was kind of like I wanted to see, to borrow a phrase from the NBA, witness greatness. So
Zach.
Sorry. But that was sort of how I was viewing it. It's like, you know what, there's a chance to see a record matched here. I would like to see that happen. And then my weariness of the Seahawks was confirmed with that whole post-interception scruffle.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was cool to see him get the 4th Super Bowl. I'm not a Patriots fan, but I don't mind Tom Brady. He doesn't bother me that much. I know he bothers a lot of people, but he doesn't bother me. And I've seen them both play for their entire careers. He's the closest thing to Montana I've ever seen.
When it comes to the MVP selection, though, I don't dislike Brady as a selection as much as some people do, because of the fact that he did lead the team down for 2 straight touchdowns when they were down by 10. In that context, it's sort of like I understand why you would give it to him, but in terms of just how that game went, honestly, I think it's either Butler just for how it ended or Edelman, honestly, because Edelman had a great game. I understand giving it to Brady because of those 2 drives to put the Patriots ahead, but I think Edelman or Butler both would have been preferable choices. Speaking of the MVP thing, that's just cruel to make Kurt Warner the guy who has to give the trophy to Tom Brady. Well, I was watching I'm like, oh, that's just mean.
Well, Kurt, he did win a Super Bowl with the Rams the first time.
He did, yeah.
Lost. Yeah.
He took the Cardinals to the freaking Super Bowl. I mean, geez, that's not easy to do.
I'd argue he's Hall of Fame worthy just for that, but I mean, it's the goddamn Cardinal. It's the goddamn Cardinals. But
it's true.
I guess you could say the legend of Tom Brady was first built off the back of Kurt Warner's failure. And then there was that whole thing when they were talking about Deflategate, and they asked Kurt Warner, and he was like, well, obviously it's like you have to ask questions, and their wins are tainted, and then they make him give Tom Brady the trophy. It would kind of be like, let's do alternate sports history for a moment and say that Joe Montana wins another Super Bowl with the Chiefs, right? Like, that would be like saying, and now to present Joe Montana with the Super Bowl MVP trophy is Boomer Esiason. It's like, oh, that's just mean.
While we're talking about it, and so obviously it's come up, Mike. Did this Super Bowl change your opinion of Brady at all?
It didn't change my opinion of Brady at all. It certainly made my case for Brady easier to make.
That's the way I look at it too.
Trying to break down legacies of players. This goes for Tom Brady, but it also goes for anyone else whose legacy you want to debate.
Like mine, for example.
Exactly. Like, right. Let's not bring in like what ifs into the conversation, because at the end of the day, it's all speculative and it's all just guesswork. Like, as you said, Greg, if you had chosen to play football, you could be the greatest player of all time.
Oh, not could, would have been. No question in my mind. I even went on to explain what would have happened. I would have gone to 6 straight Super Bowls, but I would have only won 5 because Jerry Rice probably would have made a great catch in the 4th of my 6 straight to win the Super Bowl for the Browns. But I'd end up winning 3 straight, losing 1, and then winning 2 more. And you add that in with the 7 or 8 straight seasons of 5,000 yards and more passing that I would have had, and the 3 of those seasons where I also had 1,000 yards rushing, and I don't know how you can make the argument that I'm not the greatest quarterback of all time. Unfortunately, I never played football, and that's the only reason that I'm not the greatest quarterback of all time. Simple as that.
I just think that hypothetical, and it's also the butterfly effect, which is to say that you can't just say, well, if this one thing had been different because if one thing in the past is different, then who knows how that affects everything else. So speculative alternate history what ifs at the end of the day are just guesswork, and I don't think you can really use them as a metric to discuss any potential player. Like
when all the Brady haters were popping up on the boards using that shit, it was driving me crazy.
Well, it's like friend of the show McCarthy.
He took a dark turn with all this.
I'm gonna pick on you, McCarthy. Rest assured, it's all in good fun. But you're like, if Tom Brady plays for the Bengals, he probably has 0 rings. It's like, yeah, and if anyone else plays for the Bengals, they probably have 0 rings.
Except me. Had I played for the Bengals, 6 straight Super Bowls. Simple as that.
Well, it's the same argument I've given you guys about him versus Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. If you switch teams and Peyton had better defenses, then who knows? Peyton probably has 3 rings at least. But
you know what?
But you'll never know. It's just that's the only argument I can make, because that's the only one that it doesn't let Tom Brady win the argument.
But and you're not going to like this, Zach, and you might have heard the same podcast I did where I'm
not listening to you anymore, Greg.
They brought up a question.
I only listen to opinions that stay in line with mine.
Here's the thing: they brought it up. I don't remember if it was Cousin Sal or Bill Simmons asked the question on the drive that the Patriots needed to get. The only 2, they're like, can you think of any other quarterbacks besides Montana or Brady that you would trust to do that? Mm-hmm. And my God's honest truth, I couldn't think of another one. Maybe Roger Staubach, but that's it.
Aaron Rodgers?
Okay, maybe, but
Joe Flacco.
Well, yeah. I mean, you give him 4 shots, he might get one. But,
I mean, sooner or later, he's just going to call everyone go long.
Yeah, I think he already does that. Really, it's like we'll run a few plays and just go long.
Well, okay, but
the point being is that
how are we lining this up? Are you saying that if you put the quarterback on the Patriots and had them do that?
I'm just saying that in that situation,
or just the quarterback with their team.
With their team, yeah. I think that. And again,
I think Aaron Rodgers needs to be considered.
Okay, yeah, I would. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. But if you had to say, okay, Greg, you get to pick 2 quarterbacks to run that drive, the 2 I'm picking are Tom Brady and Joe Montana. Period. And no offense to Peyton Manning, he's a great quarterback, but I don't know that anybody that's a Manning fan can honestly sit here and tell me straight up with complete 100% honesty that you have absolute 100% faith in him in a situation like that every single time. I just don't know that. Maybe you do. That's great. I don't.
I do.
Okay. I don't.
He's still – I mean, if you go look at the stats, and I brought this up before, he has more fourth-quarter comebacks than Tom Brady does.
The problem is that Tom Brady pulls them off when the stakes are higher.
That's fair, too.
But that's not – see, the thing is that's not a tangible thing, though.
You
can't measure that.
No, you can't measure it. It's not tangible, but it's also observable. But it's also observable. But it is observable. It is observable, though.
But the argument at that point is completely subjective. It's whoever you want to believe is the better one at that point.
But that's the thing. Like I said, when
and really at the end of the day, when we have to get down to things like this, it's splitting hairs.
That's the point I was about to make. If you've got to make a decision, if you've got to go, okay, look, you have to decide who is the best quarterback of this era. All things being equal, that's the kind of stuff you have to start considering, and that's where I head down the Brady path. I might be completely wrong. I don't know.
I'd give it to Brady just because of the track record of postseason success. I mean, maybe it has more to do with the Belichick system than it does with Brady, the quarterback. That's always a possibility. But at the end of the day, it's only fair to judge a player by the situations they are in. You can't start saying, well, what if he didn't have this, because he never didn't have that. This was his situation, and he succeeded in it. So
no, really, the only big pieces of evidence for Peyton Manning over Tom Brady are the regular season numbers, but people don't want to count those. the fourth quarter comebacks thing that I said, but again, people still bring up the rings. But the other one is the 2 seasons in which their teams did not have either of them at the helm. Mm-hmm. Each one is drastically different.
Yes, that's a point that I think you've got to put absolutely in Manning's favor in this debate. You've got to give him that because that's a fact.
Curtis Painter led the Colts to a 2-14 season, 0-16, and Matt Castle went 11-5. That's the biggest point in Peyton's favor. Add in the career record numbers that he's going to have. Well, see, but it's like we talked about on the football show, Greg. Every great generation, there's never one truly above the greatness guy.
Right.
There's always a group. Montana had Marino. Brady has Manning. And, if you're going to go start a team, would you like to start a team with Dan Marino as quarterback? Sure you would.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. This is what I think that gets lost with people sometimes in this debate is if you pick Brady, it's like you're saying that Manning sucks. No, because if you give me my first choice for a quarterback, it's going to be Tom Brady. My second choice is Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to be upset with either one of them. I have a problem. I have no problem either way.
I think it's context. At the end of the day, the discussion has to be framed in sometimes we just have to decide who is the best.
Right.
But people don't realize, and this goes for everyone, I think people don't realize, myself included, that it's easy to forget that because we're talking about the best, both guys are both really, really good.
Yeah.
And so people tend to forget, people tend to take it, it's like, oh, well, you didn't say my guy, you must think he sucks, when it's like, well, no. By the very nature of the conversation, we're discussing 2 exceptional talents.
Exactly.
Great taste, less filling.
And in my mind, Manning loses this by a half a percentage point. It's that close to me. But at the end of the day, if you're going to have to pick someone, I'm going with Brady. But that's not a knock on Peyton Manning. It's just the way it is. I will say this. Talking about Marino and Montana, I think there's a much bigger gap between the two than there is between Manning and Brady.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah.
I'd actually say Marino and Manning's careers are – at least Manning's career insofar as Indianapolis went, because I think this particular aspect got better when he went to Denver, was the fact that, like Marino in Miami, Manning in Indianapolis was really – the teams never made that much of an effort to surround him with talent to help him out. The Dolphins' biggest problem, from what I can tell – granted, this I never saw it first I never watched it as it happened, but from what I can tell looking back – the Dolphins' biggest problem was that they never provided him with a solid run game to fall back on.
Not at all.
They just said, well, we have this exceptional quarterback. Let's just have him throw it all the time. And as a result, as good as he was, it became one-dimensional. And it seemed like Manning with the Colts, and now actually to an extent Luck with the Colts, it's just that they're like, well,
I think to even a greater extent with Luck in the Colts.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we've got these.
Luck doesn't have Marvin Harrison to throw to right now, unfortunately.
He doesn't even have like Marvin the Martian to throw to, for that matter.
We've got this quarterback. That's enough, right?
But but see, now when we start talking about this, then I start thinking about, you could just as easily sway me right back into Peyton Manning's corner, because then I think about, well, let's look at the teams that the two had, and the coaches, for that matter.
Yeah, but that's also not. But again, in Brady's favor is the fact that let's not pretend like the Patriots teams were all we're all-star teams. In fact, I'd probably say that the most talented Patriots team Tom Brady ever played on was one of the teams that didn't win, and that was the year that they went undefeated and then lost to the Giants.
Right.
That was like his first season with Randy Moss.
When it comes to talent, when I'm talking about the Colts versus Patriots in those days, I'm more talking about defensively. Mm-hmm. Because Tom Brady didn't always have to win the games by himself.
No.
Mm-hmm. Like, the Patriots defense would do just a great job, and he only had to get so many points and they'd be able to win. Peyton Manning had to outscore every single team every single day.
Which is interesting. Which is interesting because Peyton Manning had Tony Dungy, and Tony Dungy built that stellar Bucs defense.
Right.
He built that stellar defense in Tampa Bay, and then they.
He never had the talent in Indy.
And thinking about something else,
and the one time that they did have talent, they went and won the Super Bowl.
I was just going to say too. I don't remember which time it was that they went to the Super Bowl when he was with the Colts.
One of those 40, I don't know. All the 40s are blurring together now.
But they won 41 and lost 40.
But in one of those AFC championships, he pulled off a pretty nice comeback against the Patriots, if I remember right.
That was the year they won the Super Bowl.
In
2007.
That's what I mean. I mean, you're right, Zach. We're splitting hairs at this point, and Fortunately, I have Aaron Rodgers now, but 10 years ago, I would have taken either one of these guys with no complaint. And if I get Manning and you're going, well, Brady's better in the clutch, well, fine, I'll take my chances. I'm fine with that.
Of course, this debate's still open. It all depends if Peyton Manning opts to have robot legs installed in himself by this time next season. I mean, who knows?
Well,
I think he comes back.
I still argue for Peyton. What was it? I think it was 2005, the year they lost to the Steelers.
Yeah,
because I don't think they would have had to play the Patriots that year.
I was just despite my dislike.
They probably would have won the Super Bowl that year. Freaking Ben Roethlisberger doesn't trip up Nick Harper in the middle of the field. That's like Vanderjagt.
Despite my dislike of the Peyton Manning-led Colts teams, I was actually pulling for them in that game because that was the year that the Steelers put a hit out on Carson Palmer's knee when he was actually handling them fairly well in that divisional game.
Yeah.
When it comes to losses that I still remember and that still pissed me off, that is in the top 3. We would have beat the Saints too if we could catch a damn onside kick.
I know the feeling, believe me.
Sean Payton's balls of steel in that game. Wow.
Yeah.
That one pisses me off too.
I was kind of rooting for the Saints in that one because I've been around for the Saints when they were horrible and had never even had a winning season and all that. But
that's great. That's fine. Peyton Manning would have solidified his legacy as the greatest quarterback of all time, but now we can't have that anymore. Now we have to have Tom Brady driving around his stupid red pickup truck with balls in his mouth. Deflated balls in his mouth. This is the world we live in now. Accept your fate.
Driving his truck around in his Ugg boots.
Yes.
He's not going to have the truck though. Malcolm Little's going to have it.
Malcolm Little.
Malcolm Butler. I was going to call him Floyd again. I'm just going to start calling him Malcolm X. That was the only one I hadn't hit so far. All right, real quick, because this guy sent us this back on January 20th, and we haven't addressed it yet. Real quick, Kyle Moore sent us on Twitter, asked us a question. What's the first Super Bowl you guys have memories of watching? And then we'll move to the tabs after this.
Packers-Broncos.
Wow, you are young. Mike?
I want to say it's the Chargers-49ers one.
You're young too.
But I remember the fact that we were all getting together to watch the Super Bowl more than I actually remember the game itself. The earliest game I can actually remember watching would have been Cowboys-Steelers Super Bowl 30.
Wow.
In terms of Super Bowls I actually remember taking place but don't remember watching, I remember the Falcons-Broncos one too.
Not that it's a big secret that I'm old, but I'm going to really show how old I am now.
Super Bowl I was a hell of a show.
I don't remember that one, sadly.
The 1927 NFL Championship.
My first one was when Otto Graham led the Browns to the whatever it was.
AAFC Championship.
Right.
Red Grange.
The first
Fully
one
for them.
The first one I have memories of seeing was Super Bowl IV, Vikings-Chiefs. The first one that I actually paid attention to was probably Super Bowl IX. I think that was Vikings and Steelers, I want to say.
So you just remember the Vikings losing a lot.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, the Vikings! The Vikings should be happy that the Bills came along, or else they'd be known as like the biggest chokers.
And it was just like it was with the Bills too. It's like after a while, you're like, oh, I hope they win this one, just because they just can't keep losing. But yeah, that's Super Bowl IV, which is way, way back a long time ago. It's the first one I have any memory of. But Super Bowl, I think 9 or 10 would probably be the one I first remember actually watching. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach's Tabs.
Zach's Tabs Super Bowl!
Nice.
Yeah, a supersized Super Bowl edition of the Tabs. Let's see.
It's too bad this isn't Zach's Tabs number 49. That would have been perfect.
True.
You mean Zach's Tabs XLIX?
Right, exactly.
XLIX. We'll start with the Super Bowl one first that I have.
Okay.
The Daily Mail, the newspaper over in England, posted their article for the Super Bowl on their website and tweeted out, Tom Brady celebrates with wife Gisele Bündchen after being named MVP in New England Revolution's Super Bowl win over the Seattle Seahawks. So congratulations, MLS. You are the new champions.
Well, I think if you're going to beat the Seahawks with a soccer team, he probably should get the MVP for that.
It would have been hilarious if they had said the New England Revolution Super Bowl victory over the Seattle Sounders.
That would have made it all the better.
Next.
Sports Illustrated, breaking ground. Ashley Graham will be the first ever plus-size model in their annual swimsuit edition.
Well, when they say plus size, they probably just means a girl that weighs 130 pounds, right?
No, actually, she's she's still.
Is she? Well, you can just say it.
She's not fat. She's bigger, but not fat. I wouldn't say.
Let's see.
Curvy, I guess.
Curvy, yeah, wide-hipped.
She's not bad at all. And that's a real woman, guys. That's what women really look like.
Right.
And the nice thing about her, she probably actually eats food, which is
she's a size 14.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry, there's an ad on there.
Yeah, I heard. I think that's great, really, because it's
good.
kind of it's kind of ridiculous.
I think the swimsuit issue in total has kind of outlived its usefulness.
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's 2015. It is no longer necessary.
I was like, oh, who is this girl? And then I typed her name in Google, and I found half as good pictures as I'll probably ever get in the Sports Illustrated issue on her.
I've been a Sports Illustrated subscriber since Super Bowl IX, and I've hated that damn swimsuit edition every single year. Ever since. It's stupid, but go ahead.
And ESPN, I guess, is trying to one-up them where it's like, now they're all naked.
The body issue,
naked
yeah.
athletes.
Right, because that's what I want to see is a bunch of naked athletes.
Especially when they, if you want to talk about plus size, and they put Prince Fielder in it, for God's sakes. That's just really?
True.
Okay, what's next?
Some girl named Sabrina on Tinder, as to show other guys how useful she could be, I guess. She posted a picture of her with Julian Edelman passed out in her bed naked, with the caption, "Just fucked Edelman, no lie."
Classy.
This is not the first time this has happened, as another girl did pretty much the same thing
to
with
Edelman?
Beckham Jr.
Oh, okay.
Like a month ago.
Wow.
Classy.
Yeah.
The fact that he's asleep kind of makes it just icky.
Yeah. So what was his response to it? Did he have any response?
Oh, no response that I've seen.
Okay, what's next?
So, Mike, you know Superman.
Yes, I do.
Mike knows him personally.
You know his array of superpowers, right?
They tend to make it up as they go along, but I know the basics, yeah.
Yeah, super speed, super strength, super hearing, X-ray vision, invulnerability, flight, heat vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are all the tenets of Superman lore, right?
Yeah.
Well, Superman apparently has a new power.
Are they doing that thing they did in the 90s where they gave him electric powers and he was like blue?
No.
Okay, because that was.
Do you know what Dragon Ball Z is, Mike?
Of course I know what Dragon Ball Z is.
Are you familiar with what a Super Saiyan is?
Of course I am, yes.
Tell me what you think this looks like.
Okay, I have a feeling I'm not going to like this, but that's...
Hold on a second, people. I gotta tell you something.
What the hell is that supposed to be?
That is Superman as a Super Saiyan.
Super flare?
Yeah. Which basically makes him glow gold, unleash a giant energy.
That is a Super Saiyan version of Superman.
First off, why does Superman need an extra power?
This is my problem with Superman in general.
He's too powerful.
Yes. So his weakness is a glowing rock.
Which, to be fair, everyone always seems to find enough of.
Right, it's a very rare green rock from his home planet that seems to be in wide abundance on the planet Earth.
When Krypton blew up, everything shot straight for here.
I love the Batman Superman animated movie where the Joker just buys some at a pawn shop.
Buys a dragon made out of kryptonite
in a pawn shop.
Yeah.
That's how common
it's
this
is.
is.
No, it's emerald. No, it's kryptonite.
Yeah, the shit's everywhere. I mean, I don't know if I've never really sat down to do the math, but I don't know how far Krypton's supposed to be from Earth. But the odds of all of that shit landing here is just crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, it makes Superman too powerful, and this is just going to make that problem worse. But again, as someone who is familiar with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball, I guess I'll call it Z for the sake
No, stay with Zed. Come on, Zed's
Dragon
better.
Ball Z.
Like your incorrectness, you milk bag drinking.
But someone who's familiar with Flat, I'm just going to look like, why is Superman a Super Saiyan now? I don't understand. I do not understand.
I don't either. Before we wrap up the show, guys, I also have some breaking news.
Okay.
Rob Gronkowski has yet to put his shirt back on.
Well, right now the smart money's on. He's going to put his shirt on in August. Are we done?
Yes.
Okay.
We are, yeah.
All right. Well, you know the drill. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Go to the website, listen to all the old episodes at basicallyasportshow.com.
Catch up on, you can now binge listen to Season 2 of Basically
a Football Show. That's right. We wrapped up Season 2. Yeah, Season 2 is done. Go to Spreaker. You can subscribe to the show there. iTunes, Stitcher, and I guess, you know what? Send us an email if you'd like, basicallyasportshow@gmail.com. And with that,
we'll check them twice a year.
Yeah, we get to it eventually. Like tonight with Kyle's tweet, which came in on January 20th. We finally addressed it on February the 4th.
So, hey, you know what?
That's better for us. That's better for us than in the past.
Less than a month. We got
that one in like 15 days. That's pretty good for us, actually.
It's better than my paychecks from the register get processed. So.
All right, anyway, so we're going to call it a night. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Please hang up and try again.